Oh, that was smart. Well, good morning, everybody. This is Justice's Waiting Room. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. I am your host. My name is Jared Malat. If you need to find me, not nearly as online as you would think. Check my Blue Sky. I'm just really not that active. I, like many of you, work for a living. Okay. Make this show and then gotta go make that bread. Okay. I encourage you, as I see things like the ACLU leaving Twitter. If I were you, I would get your grandparents on Blue Sky. I would get your parents on Blue Sky. I would make sure everyone that you know understands. One of the unique things about Twitter is that for a large portion of the English speaking world, anyway, Twitter is where it happens first. It's the first place shit gets posted. It's the easiest way to relay information. Twitter is not what I would even speak to usable at this point. And many large groups, groups with a lot more credibility than just little old me, okay? A lot of very highly credible organizations are leaving Twitter. At first it was the journalists that left, and now it's like whole orgs, whole big organizations are leaving Twitter for Blue Sky. And I think if we're going to talk about, we're going to sit and talk about who not to do business with, right? And we've talked about if you want to participate in the resistance and you're kind of wanting to test the waters, maybe you're not wanting to fully commit yet, one of the first things that you can do is stop using Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter, Amazon. You could delete all of those from your devices. Okay? And for a lot of people, they don't know where to go. Where do I go once I do that? Blue Sky. Okay? Understand what I see with mine eyes, and I don't doom scroll anymore. One of the side effects of removing all those applications from my devices, no more Facebook, no more Twitter, those were my addictions. I could doom scroll the shit out of watching people drink and abuse their families and try to use their kids to make money. That's Facebook. And then Twitter was all the successful people talking shit. You know what I mean? So, um, it's now largely a misinformation site. And if I wanted to waste my time, I would do that on Twitter. If I wanted to waste my time, I'd do that on Instagram, on Facebook. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's part of the reason we're in the position we're in, right? Is because we let people sit in their muck, right? We will just let people sit there, right? The people say, oh, "I'm not going to another app. I'm just going to sit here on Facebook." Hey, that's part of the problem. Okay. Blue Sky is fantastic. All the most credible news organizations in the world, the most credible scientists and authors, anybody that's got anything worth fucking seeing, Blue Sky. Okay? Somebody said Blue Sky is a cesspool. That's hilarious. Speaking of cesspools, Twitter is that. My sister-in-law is 88. She can barely keep Facebook straight. See, that's the problem. Is I would get off Facebook. Yeah. hmm The thing that Blue Skies got right is that same thing, Zeke. Here, you know what the problem is, man? I'll just say it. I there's this endemic. in the Midwest where unless you can unless you're making so much money that you can give away money, not a fucking thing you do matters to anyone on social media. Let me explain. Let me explain. Okay? I'm gonna start with the little one. Okay, so I played competitive Magic the Gathering for over a decade, traveled all over the world and played Magic. Now I'm not a great Magic player, but I know what greatness looks like. My dad took me to watch Michael Jordan prepare when I was a little kid, and as a result, it kind of infected all of the other things that I ever did in my life, like play Magic, for example. One of the things we learned very early in my Magic playing career is that the pro players all live together in a house and they play all day, like 12 to 16 hours a day. And I met a few other competitive people here in Indianapolis and we worked really hard. And I know people are leaving, like, I don't want to talk about Magic. Hold on before you go. Uh, One of my best friends, his name's Doug Bauer, came to me and he was like, I really want to win this event in Indianapolis. It would, be really important for him. It's a hometown event, and we met up like 3 days a week for weeks. Outside of like a F&M or like the other events we were playing in, like we really took it seriously. You know, uh, I made time to meet him at the shop, and he went undefeated day one of a Grand Prix here in Indianapolis, and he beat two Hall of Fame players on the way to do that. And in any other city, Doug Bauer's on the front page of the fucking newspaper. Local kid stuns pros. And there's video of this. This is one of those beautiful stories in your life where you're like, thank God for the internet. You can go on YouTube and you can look it up. And you can watch it. It's breathtaking for me. A kid from Indianapolis went to a professional Magic the Gathering event that was hosted in Indianapolis, a hometown event, and showed the fuck out and went undefeated day one of a Grand Prix. Now I think he finished like 64th. That is not relevant to me at all. In any other city, a journalist would have caught wind that a disabled Marine Corps veteran helped a want to be professional Magic the Gathering player prepare for an event that he went undefeated day one of. Okay? And then think about it. Like I said, I for 6 years, I was a Vox Media contracted employee covering the Indianapolis Colts, making multiple videos a week, right? No one fucking gave a shit. I posted every link to every article I ever wrote, every video I ever made. I posted that shit on Twitter, on fucking YouTube, on fucking Facebook. Nobody gave a shit, especially not my family. Like, not the people that you expect to be like, go Jared. Like, holy shit, he's a journalist. Like, oh my God. Not even like as a hobby. Like, people don't give a fuck. Think about it. You would think of all the possible outcomes of my life, right? Those aren't like harsh, awful things to hear about another human being. Those like, yeah, he's doing all right? Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody gave a fuck. It didn't benefit them. So I had absolutely no fucking problem leaving Facebook. I gave Facebook far more than it ever gave me. I gave Twitter far more than it ever gave me, right? Those are toxic environments that we are lucky to be able to turn our head away from and say, I don't need that in my life anymore. That's what started all this for me, was the harsh realization in that you can sit in that shit with people that are every day coming to harsh realizations about what is going on in the world. That's Facebook. Where people are just behind by weeks. It's not the thing about the delay between Twitter and Facebook is that it is significant. And that is a problem. There's a reason that they're fighting. Why do you think Donald Trump turned on Mark Zuckerberg. You guys recall this recently? Why do you think he turned on Mark Zuckerberg? Because Elon Musk told him to. Ultimately, it's Twitter versus Facebook for the world. You may not feel like it, but that's very much who is vying for power in the West, is Twitter and Facebook. And keep in mind, I still think Twitter fails. I still think ultimately people will just leave en masse because not only is it a cesspool, not only is it an awful toxic environment, but now that it's been absorbed by XAI, hey y'all, Elon Musk is just using you. Straight up just using you. You got to get the fuck out of there. Obviously, Mark Zuckerberg is fucking using you too, and it's pretty goddamn bad. Okay? Obviously, Facebook, Threads, IG, Messenger, these are awful. Get them off of your phone. They're not on my devices. Okay? I'm not on LinkedIn anymore, so if you're watching my show and you think you're going to call my employer, have fun with that shit. By the way, have fun with that. I'm not even on LinkedIn anymore. And I'm not on Facebook either. Not on Twitter. I help people get away from credit card debt and unsecured debt. I help people not die broke every day. So you don't have to delete your account. So Angie asked on YouTube, should we delete our accounts or just delete the app? Just delete the app. Nope. See, thing about it is, here's the thing. This is a numbers game, okay? Every day those sites grow, okay? And there's nothing you can do about the number of users on those sites growing. Here's why. They buy users. They create users. They create whole peoples, right? Email addresses, names. They do that all. All that happens all the time. There's fake accounts all the time. Many people manage multiple accounts, right? So you can't affect the number of users increasing. It's almost always going to go up, and it's a manufactured number. So do you see how futile it would be to delete your fucking account when you're ultimately not? That's literally next to doing nothing. You might as well have done nothing if you delete your account. Here's what matters though. The number of active users compared to the number of total users. You can impact the number of active users because they can absolutely create fake profiles and automate their content, but they have to produce content, otherwise they are also an inactive user, right? So that's the difference between like you and a bot, right? At some point a human being just shuts the fuck up, right? It doesn't have an opinion on everything. I have to catch myself every now and then and say, like, for example, this morning I was like, I don't really have anything to say today. You know? I'm still kind of pissed about Kilmar Garcia. I can't believe that a Maryland representative, like one of his own state reps, flew all the way to fucking El Salvador and wasn't allowed to, like, I want to make sure he's alive. I want to see his face. I want to shake his hand. Are they treating you okay? I want to do that. If I'm not doing that, I'm not leaving. And I'm calling for the fucking military to back me up. What the fuck? Right? Got about 30 people between TikTok and YouTube. And anytime I notice that anybody is watching me, hey, just remember that ultimately I advocate for a healthy lifestyle. So make sure you get 8 hours of sleep a night. You probably need to take a nap. Okay. You're going to need to drink water and eat right and exercise. Mm-hmm. And if you have any questions about what that looks like, you do not need to pay for the bulk of that information. You can either Google it or you can ask a question and I could wax philosophically on sports, nutrition, all that shit forever based on science. I've actually been to the classes. Okay. So, bring Kilmar Garcia home is sort of the theme of the day. I think it kind of goes without saying. Donald Trump's administration is going to have the IRS revoke Harvard's tax exempt status. Okay? Yeah. Just wanted to point this out. Okay? I don't think that's going to do what you want it to do. See, what has happened for the longest time is, especially Ivy League schools, have not been political. And now Donald Trump is so incensed that Harvard dare challenge his administration over DEI that Donald Trump's going to have the IRS rescind Harvard's tax exempt status. So here's the thing. Here's the thing that I learned. Did you know that Harvard has like $8 billion in cash and has said, let's run game. Like, tell us what the tax bill is. We'll fucking pay it. And I can promise you this: you do not want to give a Ivy League school where some of the brightest people in the world go. You do not want to piss them off. I mean, Buffalo, you don't know if you really want to get into that. How many Republicans has a Ivy League school produced? It's a real easy question. How many elected Republicans has an Ivy League school produced? Time's up. I know he was counting on one hand. Hey, be careful with your credit cards. Okay? You know, I work in finance. I help people get out of debt. Okay? Here's a judge. Removing a cap on $8 late charges on credit cards. Okay? He threw out a U.S. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau rule capping credit card late fees at $8. See, there's a reason that I feel really good when I go to work every day. I feel like I'm part of my job is the resistance. You see, one of the things that I tell clients, and I think it runs them away, is that if you have a credit card for $1,000, okay, let's say you got $1,000 max on a credit card, that is actually a good thing as long as the balance ain't zero and as long as it ain't over 300 bucks. Because it's a good thing for you as long as the balance ain't zero and as long as it's not over 30% of the maximum. Okay? Once you've spent 30% of the available balance on a credit card, it's no longer definitely a good thing for you. Okay? It now is applying to your debt to income ratio first. There are 5 different foundational pieces of your credit score. Debt to income is just one of them. Okay? Once you hit 70%, so once you've spent $700 on that $1,000 balance, they get to charge you maximum interest. So that's why, for the record, as the balance grows on a credit card, the payment gets higher, and when you make a payment, you notice it doesn't hit nearly as much of the balance as you'd like. And remember, ultimately, 70 to 80% of your minimum monthly payment on a credit card payment goes towards interest. And that interest compounds daily. So that's why you never see the balance coming down, right? That's your main problem. I tell that to every person I talk to. Your head's swimming. You're like, holy fuck. Once your balance gets high enough on a credit card, how do you ever get out from under that? You know what you do? You meet me. And I look at your credit and I tell you, you are the most loyal customer ever. You have all these accounts with years and years and years of on time payments. And you know what's even worse? I have a tool where I can click on your account and I can open it up and I can see how many on time payments you've made and what the average payment was. And then I'll just tell you, did you know that you have an $8,000 balance on this credit card and that you've paid $24,000 already? Are you done? You've paid 3 times what you owe on that card. Are you done? I'm done. I just work here. Do you have any idea how much interest you've paid? No. My favorite thing people say, I had my credit cards on auto pay for over a decade. Just to using them. Not really ever managing. I was making a ton of money. It didn't matter. And then this administration came along, mostly COVID, but this administration, prior administration, right? Like, there's still plenty of people out there that blame their whole life on Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. Okay. Homestead Wolverines, Morning Marine. Morning, sir. So, there's a reason that I get so gassed up going to work every day. Is because all jobs are soul sucking. They all fucking suck. But every now and then you meet someone that's woke the fuck up and said, I'm not doing this shit anymore, and it starts with this. And you're like, hell yeah, that's what I want to see. So speaking of which, if you're in that spot, if you're stuck in a payment cycle you'll never get out of, hit me up. Okay? I'll help you. I'll be your wingman. Hey, we got to talk about it because I figure it's going to come around. I did go to Purdue University to study flight, right? I did want to be an astronaut when I was a little kid. Okay? Astronomers detected possible signature of life on a distant planet. Okay? It's 120 light years away, so it's not like it's close. Okay? And understand, I went and read the article and the research on that, and they find signature of possible life all the time, and then they don't find life. So understand that. Okay, you're gonna get oversold. I'm probably underselling it, right? Or I'm just saying like, God, I wonder what kind of long-term impacts this administration is having. Look at these numbers. 900,000 fewer people went to the U.S. in March as cross-border travel plummets. One of the worst year-over-year drops recorded outside of COVID-19. From Canada to the U.S., a 17% decline. There's a lot of businesses like near the borders. That's like one of the fun things about being from the Midwest is that you can go up into Michigan and into Canada, into Windsor, Why would Carol Sue said, why would anyone want to come here? I fucking agree. 100% Carol. It's expensive. You gotta be worried that everyone is horrible to each other. Um, it is unfortunate that like the cost just to like live is going up too. Um, and it sucks that people don't want to come here. It makes me sad. Um, Cammy said, I live right next to the Canadian border. We usually have so many Canadian shoppers. It's been bad. Yeah. Like I said, I don't think people realize the implications of I mean, again, I was a Purdue University student studying data analytics. Like these numbers, it's not something that can just be fixed overnight. Hmm. I can't really speak on much outside of Indianapolis. Daughter got her master's at Purdue. That's awesome. That's crazy, Carol Sue. I literally talked to a woman on the phone yesterday who got her master's at Purdue. It's wild. Zeke is Salvadorian. I didn't know that, buddy. Jesus. You see what happens when you enable tyrants? Brother moving. K Heron says my brother's moving to Toronto. Ace me, Doc. DM me later when you get a chance, man. Good to go. Brother's moving to Toronto for security. I'm very sad, but kind of excited to visit him and my nephew and brother-in-law there. Angie asked, "Did you see Maduro calling for ICC to intervene?" Yeah. Yep. World leaders are calling for the International Criminal Court to intervene. I don't know, man. I've had this feeling in my gut that has made this bearable. Okay, because otherwise I'd be a miserable motherfucker if I didn't have in the back of my mind that there are people who they love the attention, right? And I don't even necessarily got to name them. You know who I'm talking about. There are people that love attention that have disappeared, man. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, um, Jack Smith. Where'd all of the people that were the heads, all of uh, Kamala Harris's and Joe Biden's cabinet members, where the fuck are they? Okay, I get it that it does track. Donald Trump did just get done saying the homegrowns are next. Okay, so I gotta acknowledge it because like if you don't, people are gonna be like, "Are you fucking crazy?" Like you didn't hear Donald Trump say he was gonna like fucking deport American citizens? Yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. Okay. Um, it's just really sad that no one in his vicinity has the stones to say, "Hey man, can't do that shit." And again, you gotta watch Knitting Cult Lady. You gotta watch this former army captain, this logistics captain. Okay, and something you got to understand. There's something I don't normally tell everyone. I try not to uh, parade about my service because it's kind of uncouth, right? Like a lot of people serve and never fucking talk about it, man. So the fact that I'm even willing to fucking speak on it, right? First of all, I didn't do anything I regret. So I don't understand why I can't just like talk about my time in service. You know what I mean? Like I'm completely happy with what happened. I didn't do anything wrong, right? What happened to me and I can only control what I can control, right? I'm just lucky to be here with you, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cece, I get it. They spoke one time each. Yeah, I don't think you should be ashamed of your service. I think you should. I think that I understand. I understand why someone would serve their country and get out of service and then never fucking talk about it again. For a million fucking reasons, I totally makes sense. Why you would, dude? I'll put it like this: my great grandfather at his fucking funeral got a 21 gun salute on top of a hill at a cemetery in fucking the foothills of Kentucky, and it was the most breathtaking shit I'd ever seen in my life up to that point. I was about 17 years old, and I was like, I didn't know he fucking served. And it turns out that motherfucker did 2 tours in World War II. 2 tours, okay, and served honorably. Holy shit, did not know. Okay. U.S. Navy corpsman said I went to Ukraine a couple years ago and volunteered as a medic. So you're basically like the best person in the world, like ever. And they bet they love American. Uh, I bet they love Americans that want to come over there and help. One of the things that I learned having traveled quite a bit is we just have much better medicine, and we tend to be like, yeah, there's obviously some um, well-fed foreign boys, but I'm all of 6'4" and broad-shouldered as fuck. So, hmm. But yeah, I can empathize with somebody like servicing. That's a totally different thing. If you're a hoe, I don't give a shit. If you're a prostitute, I don't give a shit. Everybody needs love. Some people gotta buy it. You know what I mean? Um, you're lucky. Hope it lasts. Okay. Now, I will also say, in the same breath that I say, where did I serve? So, fortunately for me, I was aboard the USS Baton for all of 8 days. So, I served somewhere out in the Atlantic. To be completely truthful to you, I was aboard a ship in the water. I got very lucky. When I got to Tutu very early 2006, they were on the tail end of their fifth straight deployment to Iraq. So when I first met all my senior Marines, like all the Marines that were senior to me, it was when they came back. I think they came back in February, March 2006. And I was a boot for all of like 2 months because we got a massive boot drop. I think we got 240 new people to the battalion, and 2-2 had just gotten a puck, a presidential unit citation for their work in. Couldn't call it, wasn't there? Um, they got a puck, and they got selected for the 26 Mu, much to their dismay. So, for the record, 2-2 had been they had been in Karma and Mahmudiya in Iraq when it was still a city, and then it had gotten fought in, and then they were part of the reconstruction. That's how fucking long they'd been in Which 8 days? Because of the new boots? Why 8 days? No, I got fucking hurt. So, I've only recently wondered this. I must have been the only good driver. So there must have been something about that I've never even thought about. Like I must have been a good driver because I drove for like officers and my platoon commander, and you know what I'm saying? Like, normally the shitty driver does not drive like leadership. That guy is fucked up, right? So, oh, that was crazy. Um, but I got asked to play football, and for the record, Marines do crazy shit, right? So I got approached at the chow hall by another Marine, and he said, "Hey, I'm with the fucking division. You look like a football player." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." You know, I'm kind of lanky, and he was like, we're gonna do this, that we're gonna meet for this. Then here's the practice schedule. You got to clear it with your fucking unit. Y'all are doing a workup for a MEU, so you're good. By the way, it was totally like, oh yeah, y'all going on a MEU. Fucking, you could just play football. It's whatever. And I was just like, huh? And I'm in the line for chow. Like, what the fuck? And so we like changed numbers, and like, and he was a corporal. I was just a fucking lance. Like, yes, lance, yes, corporal, sir, yes, sir. I'm about that life, sir. Whatever. So once my unit found out that I had been asked to play football, now we like football, right? And so it's the inverse. For the record, I just got done telling you a story, and now I'm bringing it full circle, except it's really impactful. When when I was a journalist for Vox Media covering the Colts, when I was a competitive Magic player and had some success helping someone else prepare, no one gave a fuck, right? But when I was on active duty in the Marine Corps and I got asked to play football, and my unit found out, my whole company, all of a sudden we gave a fuck about football. So we were going out to watch football. We were going to watch local high school football. We were trying to catch college games, NFL games together. We spent our weekends at Hooters watching fucking football, Saturday and Sunday, if we weren't going to a game or going out of town to go somewhere to go watch football. And it became like a disease that everyone had, was football. So we were playing catch all the time. CC's like, "You were a journalist too?" Yeah, I just got done telling that story. Mona. So when my guys found out that I was being asked to play football, they were all about it. They even wanted to play football. And originally, I got hurt dicking around with my friends. I got thrown down, and I just kept going because first of all, I'm an athlete. Second of all, I hadn't really ever been hurt ever. And when you haven't been hurt before, like, you just keep coming to work. Like, yeah, my shoulder kind of fucking sucks. And so after a while, I put it in a sling, and because putting it in a sling took pressure off it and made it not fucking hurt as much, I wasn't bitching. I just couldn't do pull-ups, right? Well, then when you don't go to the fucking hospital when you get hurt, when you can see your fucking, the head of your humerus is like right here, right? And so when I originally got hurt, you could see the head of my humerus sticking out. Like I broke my shit. Okay? I should have gotten my shoulder reset. I probably would have been fine. I would probably not be sitting here telling this story. But I was a fucking Marine, and could not give a fuck if my arm is falling off my goddamn body. I'm coming to fucking work tomorrow, cock lock, ready to rock, just like everybody else. And for the record, I made it through the entire fucking workup with one arm, driving a Humvee from Camp Lejeune to fucking Fort AP Hill in Virginia with one fucking arm. By the time I got to fucking AP Hill, I couldn't feel the fingers in my right hand anymore, and my hand turns purple When I hold my arm down to my side, my right hand loses all blood flow. Look, my hands are different colors. Anyway, so I just kept coming to work every day, and nobody said shit. Why the fuck would you say anything? Had still had an opportunity to play football, right? And so I was working out. I was staying in shape. I sucked. I sucked. I had one arm. They didn't they didn't haze me for that. It was all right. Like they could have fucked with me a lot worse. It wasn't that bad. I was just one fucking arm. Exactly. I came to fucking work. My platoon commander was like, "I'm gonna go easy on you, and you're gonna be not the house mouse, but like the office computer guy, like what the fuck ever that is, right?" So he pulled me in from getting stuck out here doing dumb shit. Somebody's gonna get hurt anyway, and they tried to get me back healthy. And I was working too. It was like I said, I was not trying not to work. I'm a fucking worker. I know I look lazy and like a bum. It's part of the aesthetic. It's bum couture, okay? I'm telling you, with one fucking arm, I showing up to work every day, and the only reason that shit fell apart is because the weather. First of all, it rained. We had like hurricane season. It rained really bad while we were in the field. We were coming back from the field, and I was getting out of a Humvee, and my gunner dropped a 50 cal onto my right shoulder. The same one I fucked up playing football. He dropped the fucking 50 cal on. Took me from standing all the way to the ground. I crumpled like a fucking paper mache. Okay? Still came to work every day. And then eventually we were on the ship in the intercoastal for the initial 4 days that you're on the boat. And while we were on the ship, I was in the weight room trying to do my PT. And shit, I didn't know this. I didn't know this. I grew up fishing on a small boat, I'll admit it. But on a real big boat, when you're in the water and them waves are kind of not going the same direction as you, that shit twists your boat up. Hey, hadn't really been on a boat that big before. If I'd have known that we weren't sitting still with our anchor down, even then I don't know that I would go back and lift. But basically we were moving in the water, and I was trying to use a Smith machine, and the way the water affects the hull impacted that Smith machine, which was like bolted to the floor and ceiling, and it came apart with my arms in it, and it collapsed on me. And so my right arm's pinned on my chest. This fucking Smith machine has collapsed on me, and there's like nobody in the weight room. So I couldn't really scream because then you're like a bitch, right? So I just kind of had to lay there until somebody could come in and get this fucking thing off me and hope it didn't crush me to death. So I kept getting fucking hurt. Fortunately, I'm a lefty. So the gods worked really fucking hard to take me out. And I'm left-handed. So it just so happens that I shoot a gun with my right hand. So what ended up happening was my shoulders just fucked, right? And I had gotten hurt in August. And when we went on pre-deployment leave, they didn't let me go. I stayed behind. I did duty. I did extra PT. I worked the fuck out because they were threatening to kick me out of the military. And I was like, I want to fucking go. They're going on a fucking boat ride. I did all this work. I might as well go. And they did a week before the deployment. Everybody comes back from leave, and you've got this week before you go. And we decided to do a hump. We got a challenge of some kind where they were like, you can do a 3-mile hump, or you could do a 28-mile hump, and it's broken up, and it's blah 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 blah, or you could do this like 3 miles in 28 minutes and get the fuck out of here. I think it's called a McCarthy hump. They gave us the option. Anyway, we chose 3 miles in a under half an hour, or I think it was like 28 minutes. So basically, it was like you had to run with all your gear on and also pass a PFT run. Um, and while we were uh, getting going, kind of like rounding the corner and getting up to speed running, keep in mind you had to have full gear, everything but guns, everything but your M4, right, or your whatever it's like. I guess there are guys with A4s still, M4s. So we didn't draw guns from the armory. We took everything else. So for the record, the Jav had to take a Jav. The 80, the mortarmen had to carry mortar tubes. Uh, they were getting yelled at to do calculations and shit. They were setting up firing spots on the side of the road and shit. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, so on that hump, my best friend, his name was RJ Rady. He was to my left in the column. A guy in front of us who was carrying a mortar tube passed the fuck out. Like face first with a mortar behind his head, passed the fuck out. And RJ saw him falling and clipped his ankle so that he spun and landed on the mortar tube instead of landing on his face first in the like he clearly would have fucked up his nose and his teeth if RJ hadn't kicked his ankle out from under him as he falls down. And in the process, when the guy hit the ground and the mortar tube rolled off his body, RJ stepped on it. And when RJ stepped on it, it blew out his fucking knee, spun him around like a top, blew out his knee. He was gonna walk with a cane forever, and he was a track athlete too, like super fucking fast. He ran hurdles in college, and he was from the South, and he's a white boy. Um, he was a great fucking athlete, and then he blew out his knee. And anytime you get hurt in the military, especially like that, they're not gonna let you deploy. And he tried to hide it because they cleared me to go. So they wouldn't let me on board the ship with a sling on, but I brought all my shit like I was going with them, and I was just gonna be fine by the time shit happened. And 8 days in, they put us on a sea night and flew us back. So I did get to, by the way, get on a helicopter and get off a helicopter that was not from the same branch. I just want to point that out. Like, there are not very many people that get like to go get on a helo and get like airlifted to shore and shit. Um, and they sent RJ and I to 8th Marine Regiment, headquarters company. RJ and I got surgery about a month into Tutu's deployment. So I think he was on the 27th, I was on the 28th of February. But that meant that I went 6 months from getting hurt to surgery. And long story short, you can't fucking do that. You can't do that. Whole bunch of people going to get in trouble. So after I got surgery, they sent us home for convalescent leave, like get out of here for a while. And RJ Rady died in April 2007, and I was medically separated against my will about 6 months later. In fact, they sent me home a full month before my separation date. Like they literally could not have me in formation anymore. Couldn't stand to look at me. Why? Because my CO was Brian Stan, the UFC fighter. I don't know how many of y'all know that. But when I got sent to 8th Marine Regiment, so did Brian Stan. We checked in on the same day. I watched Brian Stan get pinned captain, and then I watched Brian Stan pick up boxing, and I watched Brian Stan become a UFC fighter, and I was in the room. I was at the fights when he beat Steve Cantwell twice to start his UFC career. I was in there. I was at that room. I was at those fights. So I used to go watch football games at either a local high school on a Friday or local college on Saturday, or we'd be at Hooters and I'd run into Brian Stan. hmm So we couldn't hang out because he was a captain and I was just a lance corporal. But he played linebacker at Navy. He sit at the bar, I'd sit at the table behind him. He'd be yelling "Go Navy!" I'd be talking mad shit against whoever else he's playing. Because you got to understand, back then, I want to say it was Matt Ryan at Boston College was fucking up Navy, I think. But I got medically separated against my will. Like, I'll never forget going to the Navy hospital on Camp Lejeune to go meet with this Jewish doctor. And the only reason I'm pointing out that he's Jewish is because that's the only feature I remember, is that he had a Jewish name and he was very Jewish. When I went to talk with him, he was definitely like a Jewish man, very kind, very quiet and calm. And he just told me, there's nothing left here for you. Go home, Marine. And they gave me a bunch of money and sent me the fuck home. Dead ass. Like, I never looked. I never even cared to look. But one time I went and looked at my DD-214, and at the bottom there's a separation code. I didn't even know this because I had absolutely no fucking who the fuck is going back to that environment after my battle buddy dies, and I thought it was suicide, and they took away his our prescription drugs because they accused him of dealing, and it was a corporal named Corporal West. So not a corpsman. A Corporal West is who got. No, I was the E3. I was the Lance Colonel. I would have stayed for 20. Shit was up my alley. Day one of the rifle range at boot camp in Sean Range, I shot 242 out of 250, range record. And the next 3 days, I wasn't allowed at the range. They made me go all the way to the left end of the range at Paris Island and shoot unknown distance for 2 out of the next 3 days. I sat there with like 3 other Marines, and they would call out a color way the fuck out there, and with iron sights, you'd have to take it down. And that's what I did. And then the second to last day of qual, they made me go do it again. And my drill instructor did jumping jacks and push-ups and screamed next to me while I had to reshoot. They said my 242 didn't count. So like I said, all of my skills translated. All the things I did as a kid. Dude, I was a Boy Scout. I went to Boy Scout camp in the summer, and that shit largely boring as fuck. So what did I do? Shotguns, bow and arrow, 22 rifle. That's where I spent my time. In fact, when I was a little kid going to a Boy Scout camp, uh, the rifle instructor was a Marine down at Maumee. Yeah. So those skills, like, it was in my wheelhouse. I'd have stayed in the Marine Corps for 20 years. You understand things differently when you're not a part of the people watching people do shit. You're part of the people doing shit. Because there's a lot of people that watch people do shit, even in the military. Stand around with their arms crossed or with a clipboard watching people do shit. It's much better to be on the doing shit side. Hmm. And if you know somebody that was like a Navy corpsman and they were an FMF corpsman or honorary Marines, for the record, they'll tell you which is the better side. Mhm. Everybody loves Marines that is around them. You get around them for a while, and you get there's just different flavors of people, man. There are people that will go out of their way to avoid a fight, and there's people that lick their chops when they hear the word. It's just that simple. And that never changed. And I've been to therapy for years over RJ. I mourned him thinking that he'd done himself in for a decade. And only after I'd mourned him for a decade and pushed people away because of that for a decade did I find that he didn't do himself in. Someone else did it to him. And I've been calling that my fresh new hell. Every day I wake up knowing my battle buddy RJ Rady, a United States Marine, an honorable fucking Marine, has an other than honorable discharge related to I believe it's destruction of government property. When he didn't actually didn't actually do that. His wife contacted me in 2018 after his family had struck out with the Wounded Warrior Project. Um, Basically, the Wounded Warrior Project told RJ Rady's family, we can't help you because there's no monetary benefit. So, if just so everyone knows, if you go from an other than honorable to honorable discharge, it's not like you get money. It's just a change in your separation status. It's a line item on a piece of paper. It means absolutely motherfucking nothing to anyone but me and his family. But they gave RJ Rady an other than honorable discharge for what amounts to destruction of government property. They said that he did himself in with cocaine. They found cocaine in his system and in his autopsy. And I found out a decade later after I'd pissed off everyone that I had ever met, right? Because I'm a big guy. I'm like 6'4". I'm also I came home with money. Most people that get out of the fucking service are broke. What the fuck am I? No, they had to pay me. So I come home immediately. I have money. I'm working. I'm going to school. Dude, I'm hot shit. Yeah, yeah. So Al, about 5 years after I came home, after I'd pissed off everybody that I know, I went to the VA and was like, "I'm fucked up. I need help." It had been about 5 years, and I told him like my battle buddy died while I was on active duty in a non-combat situation. I wasn't there, so I'm not even touching responsibility. He wasn't a junior Marine to me. I wasn't in charge of him. He was my fucking peer. He was my roommate and my best friend. We weren't in the same state. He was in Camp Lejeune. He was in Jacksonville when it happened. I was in Indiana. So it doesn't impact. So you got to understand, if they admit they're wrong and they give RJ Rady an honorable discharge, it changes everything. So what happened was that RJ went to a party off base with a bunch of veterans, walking around with a cane and shit. And I warned him before he went out for the weekend. I warned him, be careful drinking with all that medication you're on. It's gonna cause problems. And he was like, "Oh, come on, I've not done that this whole time. I'm gonna go out and have a good time tonight. Maybe I won't take my meds." And I was like, "Well, just remember that when you don't take your meds, buddy, you are not a good time." For the record, RJ's knee was so mangled, so fucked, even after surgery, that he would just sit around and rub his fucking knee, and he's like, "Bro, it's like a constant pain in my fucking kneecap. It sucks. There's nothing he could fucking do about it." But he'd take a pain pill and he'd be fine. He'd not even think about it anymore. He could do whatever, fuck, whatever. Obviously, those pills are goddamn nearly debilitating, right? Um, and so when he went out that weekend, and I said, "Don't take your meds and drink. That's how you fucking die, idiot." And he was like, "Okay." And I was like, "And also, you might want to stay outside because you're going to be bitching the whole time because you're not on your meds, but you're going to be drunk. So you're going to want to like move around and shit. Don't forget your cane, old man." Right? That was his best friend. We had plans when we got out of service, to go run a pharmaceutical distribution company in South Florida. Was going to make us oodles of dollars. Right? We had been made plans for when we got out. I don't know. So I didn't. Fortunately for me, I didn't fuck up my knee. Okay. But when you tear your LCL, MCL, ACL, yeah, I don't take any medication. I'd rather be fucked up. Um, Mostly mine is like survivor's guilt, depression, anxiety. Um, I've also blamed myself for not doing enough. To not, it's just about getting his status changed, and it's like I didn't serve enough to learn what to do to change someone's separation code. Like what's the process? Who do I contact? How can I get that resolved? Um, and like I said, the Wounded Warrior Project said like we are not going to help. We're not facilitating because there's no nothing gained. He needs his wife needs to need help. Well, she's remarried. She has kids with someone else. She's fine. This is nothing about anyone needing help. This is 100% about RJ Rady has an other than honorable discharge that doesn't deserve that. He was buried in a pine box with a quiet ceremony that I was not even allowed leave to go to. No 21 gun salute. As far as I'm concerned, those 8 days we did on a boat is just as good as anybody else's time in service. What the fuck are we talking about? It's not like we weren't just controlling what we could control. It's not like either of us were trying to malaise our way out. We still showed up to the formations. Him with a cane, me in a sling. Just chipper as ever. We're gonna get through to the other side of being fucking injured, and we're gonna continue to do our goddamn job. Until he died. And then people didn't want to see me because seeing me reminded them that RJ Rady had died. Even Captain Braun, or Captain Stan. Captain Braun was our CO in 2-2. I ran into Captain Braun at Walmart. He was out with his wife shopping. He was beside himself over the loss of RJ Rady. That was it. Thank you, sir. May I have another? So anyway, people was asking, what'd you do in the service? What was your rank? I was a lowly lance corporal. And it is fucking true, by the way, just in case anyone ever wonders. Corporals run the fucking Marine Corps. So everybody knows. I saw someone else make a video. Yeah, he was talking about the E4 mafia. It's fucking true. Once you get to like a NCO level, especially in the fucking Marine Corps, you can get keys to everything. You can do whatever the fuck it is. Whatever, devil dog. You know what I mean? People really facilitate whatever you're trying to get done. hmm Why did he die? So he was at a party and he had been drinking. And keep in mind, he was medicated. And he passed out. Like, went not passed out, like lost consciousness. He went to sleep early at this party. He had a lack of energy. And he went to sleep on like the floor of the host's room. So when everybody was done partying, they just went to bed. RJ was asleep on the floor in a pile of everybody's coats. And when they woke up the next morning to, wake up, RJ, we got to go. Well, RJ's like a big guy, like 6 foot, 210, 220, with a cane, right? So he's kind of a little bit of a rough wake up, except he's not really waking up. And the truth of what happened is that girl, that redhead that works at Driftwood, that wasn't even a stripper, she was a server. Um, she put cocaine in his gums while he was unconscious. because she couldn't wake him up. And it made his heart explode. And then when he didn't gain consciousness and just get up, they took his body and put it in their car and drove it like they were just going to go on base and go to work. And the Marine in the back is just asleep. And the gate MP was like, wake this Marine up. Oh, he won't wake up. Oh, he's that tired. Give me his ID. Let me figure him out because something's wrong with him, right? And they couldn't ID him. MP turned him around at the gate. Said, "Get the fuck out of here. You got somebody in a Marine uniform without ID, unconscious." Turned him around at the gate, and they went out, turned right, dropped his body at the bridge, went down, did a U-turn, came back on base, and just went back through the line. When they got up to the gate, they said, "Hey, there's a Marine out there at that bridge just sleeping." So yeah, that's correct. They went out and found RJ Rady's body just on the side of the road in camis. Hmm? Yep. So them giving him an honorable discharge would open him up to having benefits that his wife, he don't have any children, so it would be only benefits for Paola. Hmm. And I have PTSD. So instead of me just like breaking down and bawling all the fucking time, no, I'm hardened because I've been dealing with this shit for 18 fucking years. A lifetime. And think about this, the reason that everyone I know doesn't reach out all the fucking time looking out for me and shit is because they can't look themselves in the fucking mirror because they feel some type of way. My aunt, Joni, has talked shit on my service since I came home. Hmm. Who can't keep a fucking day job. That's family. Hmm? Yep. A lot of people in my family have been disrespectful about my service. But I notice every one of them people that got something to say about my service ain't done a goddamn thing their whole life. When they die, you're a fucking number. You lucky to have a headstone. You lucky there's enough money in our family to get you a headstone. And it ain't gonna be you paying for yours. You know what I mean? Ain't gonna be you paying for yours. That's what I realized, Zeke. As I get older and I realize like I don't have kids, my wife and I work. Maybe I'll be good enough at this job and make enough money that I can pay for my family members to have headstones. Because otherwise, they ain't got the money for that shit. That's right. Some of these motherfuckers have no fucking clue what happens with debt once someone dies. Yeah, but they didn't serve. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. Like, I could understand, like, if you're a Salt Dog Marine that was in 2-2 when I was in and you thought I was a piece of shit and you have a whole bunch of deployments and you want to keep calling me a boot and shit, I'll eat it. I'll eat that. Senior Marine, did a bunch of tours, a 2-2. He was even in when I served. He thought I was a piece of shit. Dude, I'll eat it. I'll eat that. All day, every day, I was a shit Marine. All day. But if you didn't serve, the fuck out of here. Oh, hey, remember how I told you that the U.S. healthcare system is failing? And I keep saying it? Oh, they haven't done a goddamn thing. Can't even hold down a day job. Got all kinds of feedback for me. Hmm. Everybody needs a little good news today. How about a Tesla whistleblower wins latest legal battle and fight? Was that 1 out of 10? I'm not. Just I'm not really sure what that is. First Battalion, 10th Marines, 2nd Mardiv. I thought you were like rating the show here. I thought you were telling me the show was at a 1 out of 10. And I was just like, okay, okay. I mean, that's your opinion, man. And then he's like, no, dickhead. I was in 1st Battalion, 10th Marines, 2nd Mardiv. Like, oh, my bad, dog. 1st MEF Intel Ops Marine here. Ooh. Good morning, Joanne. Served in Beirut, Grenada, and Desert Storm. Holy shit, Scott. Mr. International here. Slinging dick in multiple countries, right? All right. Sorry, that's just the. It never leaves you. Yes, sir, super fine. Every woman I know just smacked herself in the forehead and looked at the floor like, oh, what the fuck? Sorry, ladies. Jared didn't hear about Eric Prince. Oh, the Nepo baby. By the way, I think it has to be said out loud, and I don't even think I need to find a news story to say it for us. Okay? I just want to point out that Van Hollen, is that his name? The representative from Maryland? I think his name's Christopher Van Hollen. He went to El Salvador to see Kilmar Garcia. And he was denied and told that Kilmar Garcia was being held because the Trump administration was paying them to hold him at CCOT. Okay? I'm going to make sure we say that. The Trump administration is paying El Salvador to hold Kilmar Garcia at CCOT. Okay? Joanne says on TikTok, Cory Booker is gathering a group to go. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, my favorite thing that happened yesterday was Marco Rubio was excited to announce. Yeah, Cece, way to point that out. I just want to point out when Donald Trump wanted someone brought back, he was so good at getting Andrew Tate and all his buddies to the U.S. By the way, the international criminals, aren't they like? Didn't they get busted for running a sex trafficking ring? And also, Andrew Tate is one of those people. Andrew Tate's one of those people that he looks normal until you look again. And then you're like, wait a second. Why is anybody listening to this fucking Gollum looking motherfucker? Like, what are we doing? Who is this person? Why is anybody listening to him? Like, he has a podcast and shit? What the fuck are you kidding me? Go get the goddamn ring out of Mordor. I don't want to hear anything else. Oh, he's a kickboxer? I could give a fuck. What, he's 5'4"? Oh, really? So it's skinny Joe Rogan? It looks like Gollum? Great. That's what we needed. Fucking two of you. Sorry. Apparently, he's like, he'll beat my ass and shit. Woo. But yeah, Marco Rubio was excited yesterday because they get to close this office who investigates disinformation. First of all, first of all, these people have no bottom. There's nothing in them that's gonna trigger and be like, that's like super fucked up, bro. I just can't keep doing this. That's not gonna fucking happen every goddamn day you see it. I'm just pointing this out there. Like, did you notice we talked about this yesterday? Levitt, was it Carolyn Levitt? Stopped wearing a cross to the podium. Somebody got to her. Somebody got to her and said, "Stop wearing a fucking cross." And for the record, Pam Bondi, holy shit. Them bitches need a reality check. They are not living in reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the thing about elected officials that's always bothered me. That's always bothered me. Is the lack of fist fighting. See your Barbie post of her? It's the lack of fist fighting. I need more slugging it out. We need to introduce elected officials to hockey. KKK Caroline Jordan. That's too much. Joanne, sorry. He's a whistleblower, Doug, about deleting and hiding files. Yeah. Elbows up, side to side. Elbows up, side to side. But yeah, being excited about the State Department closing an office that investigates disinformation from Russia, China, and Iran. It's like, does that serve Americans? Or does that serve Russia, China, and Iran? And you know what's even crazier? It's like, does this administration even need, like, all China has to do is tell the truth about Donald Trump. So it's like closing the disinformation offices coming out of those countries doesn't mean dick when they could just tell the truth about you and the people dislike you more, and that serves us. You want to move to Canada? We have to have dogs and cats, and our house is fucking filthy. Otherwise, I get it. Buy some of them against the wall. And I'm trying to remember when this happened. There is a drive to report Bondi to the bar in Florida where her license is. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Jeff asked, what does Trump have on them, on Russia, China, and Iran? The thing about it is, here's what I've realized. These older people do not realize that there are no secrets. There really aren't any secrets. Everything gets fucking leaked. I'm never fucking shocked. When shit pops off, I'm like, "Yep." What? Did you know, for example, the US is concentrating its forces. I thought Trump was a puppet. He is. I don't understand. It's not like we're saying he's a mastermind. I'm just pointing it out. You know, it's not like we're giving him credit. Bristol Blair was on Rachel and that oof that poor girl was struggling. Should I take this letter to the overhead phone? Was walking the dog. The address and government has. It's not a good time to be a blonde between KKK Caroline, Bondi, and MTG. Yeah, right. God don't like ugly either, man. Pam Bondi is the Pete Hegseth of women. Left hates the truth. Pam Bondi is the Pete Hegseth of the women of the right. Oh, instead of women of the night, women of the right. Oh my God. You want to talk about like worst calendar idea ever? Anyway, Jared Stanley has said the left hates the truth. Blanket statement, buddy. Just come in slinging. What else you got? Judy said, a cake would think about you said yesterday about Elon and the robots. I'm telling you. Come on, who's going to make. I think maybe that'll be something that the American Socialist Party does as a fundraiser is make women of the right into a like a calendar, except it's all the women that are Republicans or like Blue Dog Coalition members, like Democrats. There are 54 elected Democrats that are members of the Blue Dog. Is it caucus? And they're elected Democrats that vote conservatively. If I've ever heard, for the record, it's affiliated with dogs, and they're fucking awful. Listen, I have 4 dogs, and they're amazing, and I don't understand why the fuck you had to bring dogs into this shit. You call it the Blue Bitches Caucus, okay? And these are again elected Democrats that vote conservatively, and there's 54 of them in office right now. Okay, so for the record, it's not. There's a reason I keep saying it's not Republican or Democrat in this country. It's not. It is not left versus right. It is rich versus poor. If you are still saying shit like the left hates the truth, you're a fucking idiot. You need to read a fucking book. Holy shit. Okay? Jesus said, listen, Jesus, I'm going to need you to tone it down. Headlines you absolutely fucking hate to see. First global pandemic treaty agreed without the U.S. Great. Oh, look, it's foreshadowing. Guys. Remember, Ukraine, Taurus missiles, Crimea, Kerch Bridge. Oh, and you know what's a great organization you should support? Or not? So, I am a big fan of NAFO. Okay, and for the record, people always are gonna say shit like nah. Okay, here, NAFO on the bag, NAFO, OFAM. Okay, so in case you don't know what that is, okay. Oh, I want that "Make Russia Small Again" T-shirt. I want that. By the way, they have "Make Russia Small Again." I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need that hoodie. Okay. So if anybody ever wants to buy me anything, I wear 2X. You can DM me for an address. But yeah, I'm a big it's just great. Oh shit. So what had happened was you talking about the midterms? He's trying to take control of the elections. Yeah, because they're scared to death about midterms. Yeah, I'm telling you, they've been saying this forever. Republican, or not even Republican, conservative researchers said leading up to the election, if Donald Trump gets elected, it's the death of the Republican Party. End quote. They said Donald Trump is so divisive, that he will single handedly tear apart the Republican Party, and there will be a split before the midterms where Republicans are going to come out and tell Donald Trump, I have the support of my constituents. I don't need you, Don. And Elon and Donald Trump's effect on their own is not as effective as cheating in fucking elections against Democrats, right? They effectively give people press if they're a Republican when they stand up against Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Ladies, in my comments right now, in case you wondered, hey, some of these, yeah, some of these people, there are people in the world still that haven't figured out that some of those things, some of those thoughts in your head should never hit air, and should more you should not just hold on to it. Speechless today. Yeah, Bob, that's how I felt the last few days with this Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and Merwin Gutierrez. Say their fucking names. What's crazy is everybody knows Eric Prince. Everybody knows the fucking Miller, whatever his fucking name is. Fuck him too. Is it Charles Miller? Is that his fucking name? I don't know. Chicano Marine 1 just retired from the Marine Corps, E7 Gunny. Well, fucking congratulations, Gunny. Thank you for your service and your time dedicated to your fellow Marines. You don't get to retire and you don't get to E7 without being a bad motherfucker, so just remember that. And there ain't a E7 that ain't a hard charger, I can promise you that. Stephen Miller, that's his name. Stephen Miller. understand, like, those people have to exist and you cannot martyr them. Okay? Did you hear what I said? Those people have to exist and you cannot martyr them. But what can happen is people can stop fucking listening to them. Right? Somebody has to, but not everybody. And eventually, people will stop listening to that shit. Okay? It may take some time, right? Because I heard this joke the other day that is fucking true. The Republicans are better at selling their objective to you because they get to say shit like, "Hey, do you want illegal immigrants Ring, Ming, effing, whatever, stealing, looting, rioting? Do you want those things? Of course you don't want those things. So vote for us, and we'll prevent stuff like that from happening." See how easy that was to sell? But the Democrats, the problem with the Democrats, I've been saying this for my whole life. They don't have a platform. The Democratic platform is we're not Republican. At least we're not them. That's not a fucking platform. As I've said before, what these two parties deserve is they deserve the American Socialist Party aimed at being pro-equality, so it's like the polar opposite of what's in the power right now. Instead of anti-DEI and not wanting to see companies be diverse and equitable and inclusive, we're pro-DEI. Where I'm like, dude, I was on active duty in the fucking Marine Corps Infantry during a time of war. Do you know what happens when people are under pressure? They become fucking diamonds. Do you know who works well under pressure? Yeah, poor kids, people of color, people from the cities, people that grew up on a farm and grew up poor. They know what hard work is. That's whether you're white, black, green, or tomato. Good to go. But especially young black kids, young Latino kids, they get fucking promoted because they see the value in hard work and they know, hey, where I come from, this is all you know anyway. And there's way too many white kids that get all the way to the fleet and didn't even think, like, this shit's going to be hard. It's supposed to be. Where are you from? I follow all of the Marines until they're idiots, and then I tell them they're idiots and stop following them. Love the Cobra symbol. Yeah, so we have a logo. Uh, that we will eventually improve. But we're in a little bit of a holding pattern on the American Socialist Party as it refers to, like, actually taking the steps to build a party. First thing, I'll just be up front. This kind of shook me to my core. I went to get a bank account for the party, Indiana Members Credit Union. And when I was filling out the application, one of the questions was, is this account politically affiliated? And but that was before I even gave him any information. And I was just like, what? Not doing business there. What the fuck? That was on the way in the door? They're like, is this a politically affiliated account? Yeah. I might need to do some more research, right? Or I was like, oh, maybe I don't want to do that. But in order to establish yourself as a political party, you have to either spend $5,000 or raise $1,000. You got to have a bank account, you have to have a tax ID, and you got to register with the FEC. Okay? Now, that's for the record. Those are the steps to establishing a political party. What I'm concerned with, and I know there's a lot of people in the back of your mind, you're like, why aren't you fundraising? You need to be raising money and getting people to give you money and shit. No! It's about legitimacy. What if I go to the FEC and go to apply to be a political party, and they do not approve that. That is a whole nother fight. Why would I take money from people and not be able to deliver? No. I'll just wait until I have the money myself, and I'll put $1,000 in a bank account, declare myself the treasurer, right? Get a PO box, all those little penny ante things that cost a little bit of money and shit that most people just can't fucking afford to do that, right? And that for the record is the difference between me and everyone else, because what everyone else is doing is they're talking, they're going on to different people's podcasts and shit, and they're running their fucking mouth. Are they doing those things though? Are they raising money and they don't have an ITN? Are they raising money and they don't have a dedicated bank account? Are they not a registered political party? Do you know how fucking illegal it is? And that's why the DSA is not a political party. Remember, the DSA is a fundraising organization. Why? Because they didn't do the things that you're supposed to do to be a political party. And a lot of people are going to be like, as long as there's electoral college, as long as there's a two-party system, the American Socialist Party will never work. Wrong. What we're trying to do is encourage our LGBTQIA plus and our union friends. We're trying to get them to vote democratically, not for Democrats. And then in the process of being a political party, you're supposed to produce political candidates, right? And I'm a syndicalist socialist. And the American Socialist Party is a syndicalist socialist organization. Most people are checking out because they have no fucking clue what I am talking about. I'm just going to define it for you. Syndicalism is being pro-union. If you think about who would make ideal political leaders, it's union leaders. It's the people whose job it is to keep people better health care and pay, right? One of the things I learned in the Marine Corps is that you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your level of competency, right? So there's a reason you work so fucking hard outside of combat so that when this shit happens, you've done all those full speed reps. You know what that's like. They have that other person has no idea what this fight's like, right? It's the same thing in every other facet of society. What we lack in the United States is we do not have a workers' party. We do not have a political party that is pro-union. We have an anti-union Republican Party, and we have a maintain the status quo Democratic Party. We need the American Socialist Party to come out and be pro-union to drive up union membership. Yeah. Universal health care, education, income, and housing. Okay? Those are the sort of the foundational pieces of my platform, an actual political platform. Think about it. I have no aspirations of being a political candidate. I'm not a union member. I don't have a background in politics. Do you understand? Like, hey, you actually got somebody that's the founder of a political party. That's me. That's doing the right thing the right way, knowing that there are people that care about that still. There are people still give a fuck about doing it the right way, Jared. And if I was, for the record, trying to raise money right now, and I didn't have an ITN, and I didn't have a bank account, and I wasn't registered with the FEC, I'm illegitimately raising campaign funds. Do you understand what that does to credibility? You have none. Ever. This has no wings at all. Instead, what did we do? I did what I felt like was the most important work, and that was provide a symbol. I worked with someone that has been sitting in this audience for months and has been around the whole time to make us a logo. I did a little bit of research. ASP, the American Socialist Party, ASP, in Latin, aspis, which literally means golden snake, but it's an Egyptian cobra. So that's the logo for the American Socialist Party is a red, white, and blue Egyptian cobra. And when you think about what is the most dangerous to an elephant or a donkey, how about a snake? And the difference, of course, one of the other things I've learned, there's way more snakes than there are elephants and donkeys. Way more. Like hundreds of millions, if not billions, more snakes than there are donkeys and horses. Donkeys and elephants, sorry. Yes, Tonya, I thought that was great. That was an indicative of the times that we live. You could barely get a representative to go to El Salvador to try to get him out, right? You could barely do that. Took him a long time to get even his wife on TV. But to find out that that union was speaking up and saying bring him home, and know that those unions are powerful, and the union membership has been dying in this country, and we need to do an about face, especially if you're just getting out of the military. Hey, pick up a fucking trade, join a fucking union, become union leadership, declare yourself a socialist. There's no cost to join the Socialist Party. If there was a cost, it literally would not be the Socialist Party if we were charging people to be members. So you could just call yourself a socialist and say, I'm an American Socialist Party member. And then, like I said, you think about the things that I talk about on this show and disliking me on the foundation of what? I advocate for a healthy lifestyle. I tell people to sleep 8 hours, take a nap, drink water, eat right, and exercise, right? I tell people, hey, I'm pro union. Hey, I'm supportive of our LGBTQIA plus community. I'm a veteran. I care about other veterans. I want to be friends with other veterans, especially if he was in the fucking Marine Corps, until I find out your politics. And unfortunately, it doesn't take very long for me where I realize like, oh, we're not going to get along. I have no need for you. I don't I'm not contentious with anyone. But if I spot a point of it where I'm like, "Oh, we're going to have a problem." Your mind isn't worth changing to me. I don't know you. I'm just going to keep doing my thing. We all like need friends and need people to care about us, but more importantly, like you need the right people to fucking care about you. So, one of the things that I don't say often enough that I need to cuz I got to go is that I'm a very appreciative of my audience. I appreciate you all being here as much as I am here for you every day. You are here for me, especially the YouTube audience. And if you wanted a more of a community feel, uh, I can tell you one of the best places to be is in my YouTube chat. This group of people that sits here every day is very nice to each other. They're communicating with each other in the chat, saying good morning and shit and have a good day. I think that's fucking rad. There aren't a lot of places where you can go watch a live show, sit in the audience. Yeah, I didn't even realize we'd been here for an hour and 45 minutes, way past time. Um, there aren't a lot of places that you can go, and when you look in the audience, it's not a complete shit show. Okay, and so if that if that is appealing to you, go up here in my profile on TikTok. There's a link to the YouTube channel. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the bell so you get notifications when I go live every morning, 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. And then hey, I've just been doing that on the weekends. This weekend I'm off. This is the first weekend I've had off since January 20th. That's right. I'm off on 420. Kathy said, "Well, I just arrived and now you gotta go." Figures. Kathy, go up into my profile, click the links button, go to YouTube. When we end the show, you can just go back and watch the show. It's the same show. It's just instead of looking down at my phone, I'm looking at the screen over here. Okay? So have a great day. Remember, control what you can control. You get to choose whether you're going to have a good or bad day today. Understand what is happening outside of your abode or your office or whatever is largely out of your fucking control. Breathe in, breathe out, one foot in front of the other, one day at a fucking time. Savvy? It's that easy. It's that easy. Focus on the things that you can control. Know that there's fucked up shit going on everywhere. It's a wild time to be fucking alive. But you got to be mission oriented. You got bills to pay, mouths to feed. I think I'm reciting a rap song, but trying to wrap it up. Okay? So, let me land my plane. We start with war, what is it good for? I don't know if I shared that or not, so I'm going to share it. But we don't do like I'm going to play it over my speakers into your ears right now. I just share the link. Okay? So, I don't know that we actually played that at the beginning. So here, Edwin Starr's War. Especially if you served, you know this song. Thanks, Empress. Especially if you served, you know this song. You probably ran to Cadence. Okay? And then, because it's the end of the show, we end the show with Aerosmith's Eat the Rich. Okay? Okay? So, like I said, if you're on TikTok and you're like, oh, that community over there on YouTube sounds awesome, I'm going to fuck it up. Yeah, go up here, click the link, click on the YouTube, follow me on YouTube, click the notifications. Know that we're live every day unless they kick us off TikTok. Okay? They ain't ever going to kick us off YouTube. Okay? And I got to get out of here. I got to feed the dogs.